Good morning po sa lahat ng mga criminology cadets from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, sa mga respectable deans, faculty and staff sa criminology program, sa mga estudyante po natin from first year up to fourth year, sa lahat po natapos na sa pag-take ng criminology licensure examination. Congratulations po ha. Congratulations in advance. Those persons who are waiting for the result, good luck po sa inyo. Always pray po tayo na makapasa po tayo sa board examination. Pero anong mangyari mga kadete, let us trust God's timing po. Sa lahat po ng mga criminology enthusiast, yung mga review lecturers po natin nationwide, sa mga review centers po, magandang umaga po sa inyo and welcome po sa Bicueno. Ang Bicueno po, isa po itong platform sa YouTube na nagbibigay po ng libre at comprehensive na review discussion sa mga major subjects ng criminology program. Now, without further ado, ito po ang pang-last episode 3, the last discussion po natin sa subject na forensic photography. Now, again, without further ado, una po nating isalang is about the topics on light, okay? On the last part, we will be talking about the development process, pati na yung application ng forensic photography sa criminal investigation. Okay? Now, for now mga kadete, pagtuunan natin ng pansin kung ano bang ibig sabihin ng light. Okay? Ano ba ang light? Ang definition po ng light, it is a form of energy commonly refers to electromagnetic radiation that can be detected by the human eye. So ano ba ang light? Isa po siyang enerhiya, a form of energy. Usually this is referred to as the electromagnetic radiation. Okay? Now, the properties of all electromagnetic radiation can be described by three interrelated terms. Una po, yung wavelength. Pangalawa, yung frequency. At saka yung sinasabi natin kanina na energy. So ano ba itong wavelength? Okay? From the word wave. So sa isang wave po, kasi ang light po is traveling as a wave. So sa isang wave po, parang alon po yan. You can see the peak portion, yung peak, tinatawag po yung crest. Tsaka yung valleys, yung bottom portion. Kasi ang wave, there is always rising and falling, di ba? So, yung pinakamataas, yung peak, tinatawag po yung crest. Yung valley naman is yung throws, okay? Yung nasa bottom portion. Now, yung distansya po between one crest of the wave to the opposite crest of the other wave, ang tawag po dyan is wavelength. Ano ba ibig sabihin ng wavelength? Distansya po yan from one peak or from one crest of the wave towards the other peak. Okay, ang tawag po dyan, wavelength, na denoted po siya by the Greek letter na lambda. Okay? Now, ang wavelength po ng isang light po natin is measured by a unit known as nanometer. From the word nano, ano ba ibig sabihin ng nano? Nano means 1 billion, right? Nanometer, ibig sabihin 1 billion of a meter. From the word nano. Ano ba ibig sabihin ng nano? Nano means 1 billion. So, nanometer is 1 billion of a meter. Yan po ang unit na ginagamit po natin sa pag-measure ng wavelength ng isang visible light. Now, 1 nanometer again is equivalent to 1 billion of a meter. Para maintindihan natin, tingnan natin, pag kinuha natin ang buhok, yung human hair po natin, napakaliit po ng human hair, di ba mga kadete? Now, yung buhok po natin, i-imagine po natin, yung isang nanometer is 1,000 times smaller compared to the human hair of a person. So, just imagine ha, yung isang nanometer is 1,000 times smaller pa compared to the human hair. So, imagine how small 1 nanometer is. Now, yung wavelength po ng isang visible light is between 400 to 700 nanometer. Now, imagine how small it is. Ang sabi ko kanina, yung buhok po natin, mas makapal pa po yan sa isang nanometer. Kasi yung isang nanometer is equivalent again, yung isang nanometer is 1,000 smaller sa buhok po natin. So imagine, pag wavelength niya ng 400 to 700 nanometers, yung sa visible light, napakanipis po ng wavelength. Now, the combined effect of the complete range of radiation between 400 to 700 nanometer appears as white light to the human eye. Okay? Now, sa rainbow colors po natin, yung spectrum po natin, arranged on the following. Violet. Roy G. Babe po yan, ha? Starting from the bottom. Sa bottom po tayo, red, 650 to 700 nanometer. Orange would be 600 to 650 nanometer. Yellow would be 540 to 590 nanometer. Green, 490 to 540 nanometer. Blue, 440 to 490. And then violet, you have 400 to 440 nanometer. So, yun po ang wavelength po ng rainbow colors. Okay? Now, let us take a look on the 4 photographic rays of modern photography. Tingnan po natin yung application ng forensic photography sa criminal investigation. Let's start with X-ray. Ang X-ray po is basically part of what we call as invisible light. Diba yung light po natin, classified po yan ng visible light o yung isa, invisible. Visible light, ibig sabihin, makikita po sa mata natin yung Roy G. Vib. Diba? Yung red, orange, green, blah, blah, blah. Makikita po yan sa mata natin. Basically, these are colors classified under the visible light. Pero sa spectrum, may mga light po na hindi makikita po natin but are still part of the spectrum. Isa po nito itong tinatawag nating X-ray. Ang X-ray, isa po yung electromagnetic energy, yung wavelength po niya is 10 to 30 lang. Millimicrons. Question. Ano bang ibig sabihin ng millimicrons? Ang millimicron po, same po yan ng nanometer. 1 billion of a meter pa din po yan. Ibig sabihin, the other term of nanometer is millimicron. So pag nakikita nyo sa board examination, millimicron, same lang again. Yung millimicron, ang another term niya is nanometer. So nanometer and millimicron are two the same terms. The only difference between the two is the spelling. Okay, spelling lang ang pagkakaiba. Pero as to emphasis, pareho lang po yan. So ano po ba ang wavelength niya? 10 to 30 nanometer or 10 to 30 millimicrons. Saan po ginagamit ang X-ray natin? Di ba pag pupunta po tayo ng hospital, pag ini-X-ray po, nakikita yung ribs po natin. Nakikita po yung mga bones po natin inside our body. So in criminal investigation, object which is opaque as seen by the naked eye can be penetrated by X-ray. To produce a shadow photograph of an internal structure of solid objects, X-rays is suitable. So, ibig sabihin, pag criminal investigation yan, gusto mo makita, opaque object, ano ba ibig sabihin ng opaque? Ibig sabihin, light cannot pass through. For example, pag metal yan, opaque yan. Pag wall, opaque pa din yan. And you wanted to find out the inside contents of an object. Okay? Basically, you are going to use X-ray. As you can see on the screen, isa po yung example sa paggamit po ng X-ray. Ginagamit po siya in the borders in the United States. So kasi sa borders sa United States, may mga pagkakataon po, several cases nga, na there are a lot of illegal migrants. Okay, illegal migrants who will be crossing the borders from one country to the United States of America without the legal papers. So para ma-detect pag may human smuggling bang nangyayari, especially pag carrier po yan ng isang truck or trailer ng isang truck, all you have to do is to use an X-ray photography to find out if there are persons hiding inside the trailer of a truck. Okay? So opaque po ang trailer para makita mo po using photography kung may tao ba sa loob. Then you used X-ray. Pangalawang, photographic rays of light na ginagamit sa modern photography, especially in criminal investigation, itong tinatawag nating ultraviolet light. Okay? Pag ultraviolet, ang manotice po natin, ang matandaan po natin is ito po yung ginagamit natin, di ba, sa bangko. In order to find out yung watermarks at saka yung war marks ng isang pera, we use ultraviolet rays of light, right? So yung ultraviolet rays of light is having its purpose also sa pag-detect kung isang money is fake or not. Now, in terms of wavelength, yung ultraviolet rays of light po is ranging from 200 to 400 millimicrons or 200 to 400 nanometer. Ang ultraviolet light is divided into near and far ultraviolet and ranges again from 200 to 400. This ray of light is also invisible like the infrared and like the X-ray. Its position, makita po siya between X-ray and visible wavelength. Ultraviolet rays from the sun create a layer of ozone, a special form of oxygen to protect the living organisms on Earth. Its importance in photographic works is the underlying notion in ultraviolet photography where an object who possesses ultraviolet constituents gives up energy in the form of visible light and produce fluorescent objects if special lighting is applied. For example, pag bypass operation po or entrapment, pag lagyan mo po yung pera, if a money is dusted with a fluorescent powder, invisible fluorescent powder na hindi makikita sa mata ng tao. So if a particular money is dusted with a fluorescent powder, the moment the drug dealer or the drug pusher will receive the money, some of the fluorescent powder dust will be transferred from the money to the hands of the pusher or to the hands of the one who sells the drugs. So basically, you can actually prove in court na may complete transaction between the police officer and the pusher, the drug dealer, because you tend to examine the hands of the person and the hands of the person using ultraviolet lights. The hands of the person is found to be contained with fluorescent powder or fluorescent stains or fluorescent dust. So, bakit kailanganin po? Kasi you need a complete transaction between the authorities to the suspect in order to consummate the legality of the entrapment. Kasi pag ang entrapment po or ang buy-bust operation, walang complete transaction, ibig sabihin walang pera na natanggap yung suspect, it could be something that is beyond the grounds of warrantless arrest. Di ba sa warrantless arrest po, di ba nandyan po yung makikita po natin yung first ground. When you are present at a particular crime scene or a particular place and the person is about or has just committed an offense. Sa in flagrante delicto, quote in the act po kasi yan eh. So, pag kailanganin po na may complete transaction, how will you know that the person received the money that you give to him? You put the money, it's either be number one, you mark the money. Mark money po yan, ibig sabihin yung serial number, binigay mo po sa PDEA or sa prosecutor's office to inform them that you are going to use the money. Or number two, you dusted the money with fluorescent powder. Okay? So magagamit po yan sa entrapment. Pangalawa, again, yung ultraviolet light po, magagamit po sa pag-determine if a particular money is fake or not. Number three, sa crime scene po, there are cases that the footprints or the latent prints coming from the suspect will actually fluoresce by means of ultraviolet rays of light. There are instances na hindi mo po makikita yung mga latent prints. And by the use of ultraviolet light, you can make these prints visible. Okay? Number three, ito po, visible light, which is apart from invisible. Iba po siya. Yung invisible light again, ito po yung may 400 to 700 nanometers. And this produces white color. Basically, the combination of all colors will result to white. Okay? So, ginagamit po yan sa crime scene photography. The fourth one is itong tinatawag nating infrared. Ito po yung pinakalas, infrared rays. Ang infrared rays, just like X-ray and ultraviolet rays of light, lahat po sa tatlo are classified under invisible light. So, invisible din po ang infrared. Ang wavelength niya po is 700 to 800 millimicrons. Sa board examination, pag nagtanong, heat, detected by the skin as a heat. Wala na pong ibang answer dyan. But rather, the answer is infrared. Pag detected as heat by the skin, ang answer po is basically infrared. Okay? This is known as infrared because they sojourn below the red spectrum. Ibig sabihin, located po siya sa color na red. Okay? So, doon po ang location niya. Now, ano ba ang importansya ng infrared sa investigation? Ito po, taking snaps in a dark room. Pag gusto mo makuha yung, for example, the room is totally dark and you wanted to find an image or you want to capture an image. Even if it is dark completely, you can use infrared and you can capture the image. Capturing wildlife during nighttime. Create chalky appearance on photograph by using IR photography outdoors or indoors with the availability of clear light, or capturing images during the state of war where light availability is reduced during night. So for short, ang infrared, isa po siyang photographic rays of light na ginagamit po during nighttime. Ibig sabihin, pag nighttime photography po, ang best applicable is infrared rays. So, pag ang choices between X-ray and ultraviolet and infrared, pag nighttime photography po, so long as there is a presence of darkness or the lesser availability of light, the answer is infrared rays po. Okay? So, pag nighttime photography, for example, you want to, or gusto mong lusobin yung gusto mong lusobin yung kampo ng isang enemy. So you can see visibly the path that you are traveling by means of an infrared light. Okay? So ito, most importantly, in criminal investigation or in law enforcement in general, magagamit po ang infrared in the following. Number 1, restoring original writings on charred paper. Number 2, restoring questioned old or faded documents. Number 3, detecting old scars or obliterated tattoo marks and penetrating layers of grease or grime. Ano itong grime? Ibig sabihin ng grime, yung dirt po sa katawan ng tao. Okay? Again, tinatawag siya night photography. Infrared photography may also be utilized for flash photography, and almost no visible light to be seen are available for use in blackout flash. Photographs of infrared disclosure should be accompanied by normal photographs of the same object. The composition of normal and infrared comparison should be the same if possible in law enforcement. So, dapat nating tandaan that if you are capturing an infrared image or you're capturing an image through an infrared, it has to be supported with normal photograph. So again, taking a look again on the importance of photography importance of infrared photography in crime scene investigation. Yung first image po na makikita ninyo, this is an obliterated or tampered writing po siya. So makikita sa taas, pag normal photography or visible light ang ginagamit mo, hindi mo makita kung ano ang nasa behind ng erasers. So, kasi erasers yan. For example, yung erasers nilagyan ng liquid eraser. Or probably yung eraser nilagyan ng other writings. To conceal the original one, nilagyan ng writings or eraser from ballpoint pen. So how will you know kung ano ba yung original na handwriting? You used infrared photography. Okay? On the other hand, in terms of blood stain, in the crime scene investigation, pwede din po, especially pag kulang po yung light po natin, sa crime scene, magagamit po ang infrared photography para malocate po kung saan po ang location ng mga bloodstains. Okay? So again, review po natin. Pag X-ray, makikita po natin kung ano ang nasa loob ng isang object. Okay? Pag volt, you want to find out pag may bamba sa loob ng volt. Okay, basically you can use X-ray. Pag ultraviolet rays of light po yan, ginagamit in order to find out pag isang money is fake or not. Or entrapment transaction, nilagyan ng fluorescent powder yung money. And then, binigay sa suspect, and then the suspect had a contact with this powder, and then when you examine it, that will allow you to find out that the transaction was complete because the money was received. You know that the money that was received because there was a stain of fluorescent powder within the hands of the suspect. Pag infrared, detected as heat po siya. Night photography po, ginagamit po siya sa obliterated handwriting, sa tattoo, sa nighttime photography, so on and so forth. Okay? Pero pag normal naman, pag daytime yan, then you can use visible photography using the visible colors. Alright? Next, napaka-basic po nito mga kadete ha, primary color, secondary. Sa primary colors of light, we have the following. Red, ito po ang considered as the longest wavelength. Red, green, at saka yung blue. Okay? Red, green, at saka yung blue. RGB po tayo ha, primary colors of light. Pero pag primary colors of coloring matters, iba din po yan. Iba yung primary colors of light, iba din po yung primary colors of coloring matters. Ano man pinagkaiba dyan? Pag primary colors of coloring matters, yung red, yellow, and blue, or RYB, ano bang ibig sabihin dyan? Ang red, yellow, and blue, pwede po siyang magamit, i-combine mo po to produce another color. Okay? So pag mag-produce ka ng another color, then you can use red, yellow, and blue, the combination thereof. Okay? For example, pag ini-combine mo yung red, yellow, and blue, it will result to probably black, if I'm not mistaken. So, yan po ang primary colors of coloring matter, which is iba po siya sa primary colors of light. Pero pag primary colors of light, ang tanong po sa board examination, RGB po ang sagot po natin. Red, green, and blue. Pero pag primary colors of coloring matters, RYB po, or red, yellow, and blue. On the other hand, secondary colors po natin, YCM po yan, mga kadete ha. Yellow, 590 nanometer, cyan, 500. Tsaka yung magenta, which is the shortest wavelength, okay, which is 400. Yung white po, tinatawag siyang presensya sa lahat po ng colors. Yung black naman is the absence of all colors or the absence of light. Okay? So, pag presensya sa lahat ng colors, ang tawag, white. Pag absence, or the absence of light, ang resulta would be black. Okay? Now, punta naman tayo sa bending of light. Okay? Ang rays of light travels in different direction. And there are a lot of cases na yung rays po are bent. Bent po siya in a different direction. Okay? When traveling in open space, light travels in a straight line. Usually, sa board examination po, ang speed of light po natin is 186,000 miles per second po ha. 186,000 miles per second. 186,000 rather. 186,000 po yung speed of light. Pero, pag may choices po na iba, na 186,000 din po, try to rationalize first. Kasi po, ang exact, sa mga kadete po na magtitake ng board examination right now, ang exact po na speed is 186,282 miles per second. Okay? 186,282. Yan po ang exact. Okay? Miles per second. Yan po ang exact speed of light. Pero pag hindi naman nakalagay doon ang 186,282, then you answer 186,000 miles per second. Okay? So, it follows the basic math of rounding off or rounding down the numbers. Okay? So, 186,282, yun po ang exact na speed. However, when light comes in contact with an object, it may be bended in the following manner. Una, reflection. Pangalawa, refraction. Pangatlo, diffraction. So basically, ang light po, ang rays po natin, nagtatravel po yan in a straight line in different direction. Pero, there are instances na ang light po will made in contact with various objects. So, the contact of the rays of light to these objects may cause the bending of the light in a different direction. Depende po kung ano ang object that has in contact with the light. In reflection po, pag ang isang light is in contact to the irregularities of an interface, ang tawag po dyan, reflection. It bounces off in all directions due to the microscopic irregularities of the interface. For example, looking yourself at the mirror. It's an example of what we call as reflection. Or you look yourself on a smooth water. Okay? Water surface. Makikita mo po yung image mo. Reflection po ang tawag. Refraction naman is the change in direction of a wave due to the change in its speed. This is commonly observed when a wave passes from one medium to another. Let us say, for example, pag inilagay mo po yung straw po, inside the water, light is usually refracted. So, nag-iba po yung direction ng light. So, bali yung straw, pag inilagay po sa glass of water siya, yung direction ng straw, mag-iba po yan ng direction. So, basically, that's an example of what we call as refraction. Bakit po nag-iba? Nag-iba yung direction niya because of the change in its speed. On the other hand, yung pangatlo po, for example, ang example sa pangatlo, yung CD or DVD. I don't know if you are familiar with this, especially yung mga Generation Z. So, nung araw po, pag magpa-movie po kami, may mga CD or DVD po na ginagamit po in order to play a movie. Now, pag ang light will strike a DVD or a CD, usually, it will be broken into different colors, right? So, yung white light, when it will made in contact with the CD or DVD, it gonna be diffracted, okay? Diffracted po siya to the point that it will be divided into the rainbow color. Makikita mo yung yellow, makikita mo yung red, makikita mo yung blue, so on and so forth. Or, when the light will pass to a prism. So, sa prism po, again, it will diffract the light, right? The hologram, a picture that changes when looked at from different angles on a credit card, is also an example of diffraction. To better understand yung tatlong bending of light, you can see on the slide right now, yung reflection po, bouncing of the light, refraction po, the change in direction. Yung diffraction naman, on the other hand, is the spreading out of the light or the breaking of the light into different rainbow colors. Pag bounces off, reflection. Pag changes the direction due to the speed, refraction. Diffraction, on the other hand, again, is when the light is spread out into different rainbow colors. So you can see the screen as best examples of these three bending of light. Okay? Next, kinds of objects. Ito, grade 1 topic po ito. Objects po natin could be transparent, translucent, opaque. Paano po natin malaman? Pag wall po yan. Ano ba ang wall? It's an opaque object. Bakit opaque? Kasi po, yung light cannot pass to the other side. Okay? Yung light is greatly diffused. Hindi po siya makapenetrate. Pag ang light nakapenetrate on the other side, pero hindi lahat ng light rays penetrated through the other side, ang tawag po niyan is translucent. Okay, for example, a piece of cloth. Okay? A piece of cloth na manipis. Light can actually pass to the other side, but then again, it tend to filter. It tend to reduce the rays of light going to the other side. Ang tawag po dyan, translucent object. Transparent object, when the object allows light to pass through the object, and the other side can clearly be seen. For example, pag transparent glass po, ang transparent glass is an example of a transparent object. Kaya nga po, transparent glass ang tawag. Next, another very basic topic, sources of light. We have the following, natural, ibig sabihin, hindi po siya man-made. Example of this would be the rays of the sun or the light coming from the sun. We also have the algae. Yung mga algae po natin, it can emit light. Yung mga animals po natin, for example, firefly, yung mga fishes po beneath the ocean na may capability to produce light. These are basically natural light. Yung stars, is basically natural light po yan. Pero pag ginawa po ng tao, at tawag po niyan is artificial light source. So, natural light source, we have the bright sunlight. Bakit po bright sunlight po? Because it casts a deep, ununiform, or distinct shadow. Usually, wala ka po makikita na clouds. Bright sunlight po yan. In hazy sunlight, object in open space cast a transparent. Mas medyo weaker yung shadow na makikita. Dull sunlight, wala ka talagang shadow of a person na makikita. Yung dull sunlight, it could either be cloudy bright or yung cloudy dull. Yung cloudy bright, yung objects in an open space cast no shadow but objects at far distance are very visible. Pero yung cloudy dull, objects in open space cast no shadow and visibility of distant objects are already limited. Just like for example, during twilight, 6 o'clock in the evening, cloudy dull po ang light po niyan. During storms, cloudy bright, right? Cloudy bright po. Pag ma-recognize yung objects on the distance. Okay? We have the following forensic light sources. We have the UV lamp, the laser. Laser is the light amplification through simulated emission of radiation. Laser is basically an acronym. Pag lumabas ito sa board examination, inilagay ko na ibig sabihin ng laser, light amplification through simulated emission of radiation. Kaya po, laser ang tawag. Then, alternative light sources and then forensic light sources. Alright? So, yun po ang ibig sabihin ng light. Now, punta naman tayo sa developing, printing, and enlarging po. Now, ang topic po na ito will only cover yung film photography, okay? Film photography po, mga kadete. Pero pag digital camera yung ginagamit mo, kailangan pa ba ang development? The answer is no. Yung development po, para lang po yan sa negative. If digital camera po, again, wala pong development yan. Diretso ka na po sa printing. Now again, ang topic po na ito will only cover yung film photography. Okay? So, chemical processing, we have black and white processing. Sa black and white, development, stop, bath, and fixation. We'll be discussing the stages later on. Sa color processing, development, stop, bath, fixer, and stabilizer. Ano bang ibig sabihin ng development? Yung development process is basically transitioning or developing the film into a negative. Right? Paano makonsider siya na negative? Negative siya kasi yung image niya po is already considered to be constant. Ibig sabihin, hindi na po siya affected if the film will be exposed again to light. Ibig sabihin ng development, mawawala po yung sensitivity ng film. Ma-form po yung image on the film. Now, una pong stage nito, itong paglagay po ng developer. Ang tawag sa stage nito is development. Sir, question, ano ba talaga yung development? Ang development po yung whole process. Una, yung development whole process in producing the negative. Pangalawa, ang development din po, tinutukoy niya, is yung unang stage. Ano ba yung unang stage? Yung maglagay ka ng developing agent sa film. Pero ang lahat ng proseso from development to from development to stop bath. Okay? From development to stop bath or from development to final bath rather. Ang tawag po niyan sa proseso na yan is development process. Okay? Ang part sa development process, yung part po ng development process is yung development din po, yung pinakanauna na stage. Bakit development yung pinakaunang na stage? Kasi po, sa stage na ito, maglagay ka ng development chemical sa isang film. Now, take note mga kadete, ginagawa po ang development process po natin sa isang laboratory, devoid of light. Ang laboratory po na ito, itinatawag nating dark room. Okay? So, balik tayo again. Ano ang unang stage sa development process? Ang unang na stage is yung development. Ang development, maglagay ka ng developer or development chemical sa isang film. Ano ba ang yung mga development? Ano ba ang purpose ng development? You convert the latent image on the film into in an emulsion into a visible image. 'Di ba? The moment the person will click the button of the camera, automatic light will pass through. And the light will made contact with the film. So yung film, pag natamaan na po siya ng light, tinatawag po siyang exposed film. But you do not remove the film immediately out of the camera. Kasi pag i-remove mo yan, the film will be re-exposed. Pag ma-re-expose yung film, ang mangyayari dyan, mawawala yung image. Ma-overexpose siya or sa Bisaya po. Sa Bisaya pa, tinatawag namin yung nasunog. But it's not actually nasunog. Nasunog basically means overexposure. So what you can see on the finished photograph are just merely light, the white color. You cannot see the perfect image of it. Why? Kasi nga po na-overexpose siya. So kailanganin, pagdating sa dark room, kasi walang light sa dark room, all the lights are turned off, inilabas mo yung film, tapos yung film, isinubsob mo ngayon sa development chemical. Ang purpose again is to convert the latent image in the emulsion into a visible image. So yung image na visible, makikita mo na po. Kaya nga po, tinatawag siyang visible. Okay? So we have B and W emulsion, reducing exposed silver halide crystals into metallic silver. Same reaction is found in photographic papers. And color emulsion, developed silver is replaced with cyan, yellow, and magenta dye. For short, these are just development chemical na ilagay po together with the film. Pagkatapos ng development, as the first stage, kukuhain mo ngayon yung film and you put him in the second stage which is known as stop bath. Ano ba ang stop bath? You rinse the film with water. Ano bang purpose nito? To halt. Ano ibig sabihin ng to halt? To stop the development of the film. To stop the development of the film, plate or paper by either washing of the developing chemical or neutralizing it. So the best way in stop bath is to rinse the film with water para matigil yung development of the film. Okay? Next, the other one, the third stage is fixation. Inilagay ngayon yung film from the stop bath, inilagay siya uli sa tawag nating fixer. Ang purpose ng fixer na chemical is to remove yung mga unexposed silver halide in the film and then leaving only behind the reduced metallic silver that forms the image. So for short, once nasa fixation na siya, ang film po magiging insensitive na to further action of light. So ibig sabihin, pagkatapos ng fixer, pwede na pong mag-turn on ng minimal light. Kasi nga po, pag magtanong on-board examination, sa anong stage po nawala yung sensitivity ng film sa light? Nawala siya sa stage na fixation. Granting, natapos ka na po sa fixation, ha? Pero pag ongoing pa yung fixation, huwag kang mag-turn on ng light. Kasi nga po, ang film po dyan is still sensitive with the light. Kailan po mangyayari na mawala yung sensitivity ng film sa light? Mawala po siya after fixation. Okay? Pagtapos na po yung fixation, so basically, wala na pong, pwede na mag-open ng minimal light. Okay? Di na po ma-overexpose or ma-expose again yung film. Kasi nga po, hindi na po siya sensitive sa light. Alright? So yan po. So basically, basically, for us to understand more, right? So, for us to understand more, ito po ang image na inilagay ko po. Inilagay ko po ito para at least mas madali nating maintindihan mga kaditi ha. Okay? Para mas madali nating maintindihan. Now, una, andyan po yung film mo, kinuha mo po sa camera. And then, the sheet of film is placed on a development chemical. Ang tawag po sa stage na yan is development. And then, sa development po, mga 5 minutes po yan ha. 5 minutes po na nakalagay yung paper po o yung film sa development chemical. After 5 minutes, kinuha mo yung film, inilagay mo ngayon sa stop bath, rinse of water po yan. And then, pwede din po a dilute solution of acetic acid or citric acid. And then, 30 seconds po yung time frame. After that, from stop bath, inilagay ngayon sa fixer. Okay? Ang fixer po, mga 6 minutes din po yan. Then after 6 minutes, you remove the film again and then you wash it with clean water. We call this one as final bath. Ang final bath po, mga 30 seconds po when you rinse it with water. And then after rinsing it with water for 30 seconds, ilagay mo ngayon, you hang it to make it dry. Okay? So, yun po ang proseso. So, once na tapos na po yung development process, ang film po, matatawag na po siyang negative. So, yung negative ngayon, pwede na po siyang ma-print, ma-enlarge po into a finished photograph. Ang proseso po na yan is yung tinatawag nating printing process. Yung pangalawa. So, film processing, it can be carried out in raised tanks or mechanized equipment. Note na pag ang material is panchromatic, it should be handled in total darkness. Blue films or chromatic films and printing papers are handled under a safe light. Pero mas okay po pag total darkness po talaga para the development process will not be affected with complications. Developing, printing and enlarging equipment, tank or tray, developing reel, opener for film cartridge, scissors, thermometer, timer, funnel, photographic sponge, film clips for drying, and in glass or plastic bottles. Tap bath can be plain water only with 28% glacial acetic acid. Yun po sabi ko kanina. Next, fixing bath formula, we have water, dissolving agent. Kindly familiarize yourself. Preservative, neutralizers, hardeners. Then, photographic printing na po tayo. Pagkatapos ng development, print na po. Sa printing po, dalawa pong modes yan. It could either be contact printing or the other one is projection printing. Sa contact printing, na-produce po yan by exposing photographic print materials while it is pressed in contact with the negative being reproduced. So, pag yung photographic print materials, binigyan ng pressure while in contact with the negative, and then the image is resulted on that process, we call it as contact printing. Pero yung pinaka-common po itong projection printing or enlarging. It is a type of printing where the image in the negative is optically projected or enlarged onto a print material for exposure to produce a picture image. The main equipment that is used in here is the so-called enlarger. Okay? Enlarger, the so-called camera in reverse. Alright? Equipment naman for paper developing, again, 3 plastic trays, metal plastic, rubbers, timers, paper cutter, a bigger tray or tank for washing prints. Alright? Lastly, I'd like to talk about steps taken to ensure proper photographic documentation inside the crime scene. Part din po ito ng TOS. Una po, sa lahat po ng crime scene, ang pinakauna pong gawin natin is to cordon the area or to cordon the crime scene. Pero again, pag ang crime scene na po is already cordoned, for example, may first responder na nauna doon, tapos part ka ng crime scene investigation team, pagdating mo doon, andyan na yung first responder, naka-cordon na yung area. Ano ba ang gagawin? Ang gagawin po is to establish a command post. Ang command post po is an area adjacent to the crime scene. Adjacent po, nasa labas po siya ng crime scene. Ano bang purpose ng command post? Pag naka-establish ka ng command post, tawagin mo yung first responder. Bakit mo tawagin? Kasi po magpa-briefing ka, magpa-orient ka kung ano po ang nangyari sa krimen. Okay, yun po. Ha? So, pero pag hindi pa po, pagka-situation sa board examination, the moment you arrive, hindi pa naka-cordon, the very first thing that you have to do is to cordon the area. Okay? Next, evaluate conditions. Pag photographer ka, you have to note the conditions, weather condition, the lighting conditions, lahat-lahat po. Tingnan mo po kung indoor photography ba yan or closed door photography. And then, pag okay na pong mag-shoot, by the way mga kadete ganito po pagdating mo sa crime scene, pag nakita mo na may injured person, okay? Injured person. Let us say suffering from a lethal wound. Do not proceed with photography. Do not proceed with sketch. Do not proceed with measurement unless the body of the injured person has already been removed for hospitalization. Okay? Again, the moment you arrive at the crime scene, pag shooting incident yan, buhay pa yung biktima, do not proceed with the shooting or do not proceed with the photography, rather. Do not photograph, do not sketch, do not measure unless the body of the person has already been removed for hospitalization. Pero mag-iba po ang procedure po natin pag yung tao has already been declared as dead. Pag shooting incident again, patay na yung tao. The moment you arrive at the crime scene, huwag mo munang i-remove yung body. The body can only be removed once photography, once measurement or sketch have already been accomplished. Pag patay yung tao, pero pag buhay pa kasi injured pa lang, do not proceed with photography, crime scene sketch, and measurement unless it has been removed. Again, for the second scenario, pag patay na, then proceed with photography, sketch, and measurement, and you remove only the body once the aforementioned are already performed. Okay? Shoot the scene. You have to take many shots as much possible from the entire area. Okay? The photographer should take photographs before anything is disturbed, progressively working through the scene from outside to close-up pictures. The crime scene photographer should capture the whole scene, first using wide-angle shots. Wide-angle lens po ang gamit natin sabi ko sa episode 2. Wide-angle lens po kasi po ang wide-angle lens has the highest depth of field, covering the entire scene from the approach and through the every area. So pag ganito yung crime scene makikita nyo sa slide, yung entry mo first shot, second shot, third shot, fourth shot. So lahat po ng coverage po, lahat po ng area should be taken. Then photograph the victims. The next series of shots should include the victim if present to show locations, injuries, and conditions. Pero pag yung biktima, injured individual, huwag kang magpipicture dyan. Again, yung picture mo, gagawin mo lang yan pag na-remove na yung body of the person, pag injured. Next, photograph the evidence. Okay? Now, pag-photograph ng evidence, it should be taken from straight above or straight on the right angles po, eliminating potential distance distortion. Ibig sabihin, yung sa picture po natin, yung una po is actually wrong. Yung pangalawa po is the correct. Dapat po siya right angles. Or it should be equilateral distance between one object to the other. Why? Kasi po, dyan mo makikita ang relationship between the scissor and probably one leg of the table. Okay? Next, evidence markers. Photographs should be taken before evidence markers are placed, then again after. Klaro po yan Ang photographs po should be taken before evidence markers are placed. Bakit po sa totoong realidad sa crime scene search, nag-uuna po yung markers. There are a lot of cases there, markers yung nag-una. Then after nalagyan na ng markers, tsaka na nagpo-photography. Hindi po, ang ideal po na proseso, i-picture mo muna before you will put markers. Picture mo, after you got a picture of it, lagyan ng markers. Pag nalagyan na po ng markers, you picture it again. Okay? Yun po ang correct na proseso. But if you want to be fast, maglagay ka ng marker, bahala ka na. But again, yung procedure po natin na ideal po, picture mo na, lagay ng marker, after nalagyan ng marker, picture ka again. Okay? Next, pag may new evidence, mag-reshoot ka. Alright? Then, you have to shoot fast. Kasi po, there are a lot of factors that are affecting your photography. Number 1, the weather condition. Number 2, unique, yung mga rare scenarios. Yung mga challenging scenarios, for example, pag nasa gitna po yan ng roadway, that could create a traffic. And if you will take the photographs for several hours, imagine the traffic congestion that will happen. So you have to be fast as much as possible. On the other hand, yung mga latent prints will deteriorate, right? It will deteriorate. So, pag hindi mo nakuhaan ng picture, kalaunan mawawala yan. So, you have to be fast. Then, photograph the victim later. If a victim must be moved or requires treatment, the photographer can go back to document the victim's injuries. Yun po, sabi ko kanina, pag patay na yung tao, di mag-photograph ka. Pero pag buhay pa, wag muna. Mag-photograph ka sa biktima na injured later na po. Later na. Right? Next, different ways. Ito po ang different ways po natin sa pag-photograph. Ito po ang mga views. Una, yung general view na makikita yung entire scene, entire crime scene. Yung location or direction kung saan nag-escape yung criminal, so on and so forth. Then the medium view. Ito po ang pagkuha ng photograph of the scene of the crime by dividing it into sections. Probably you divide it into 4 sections. This view will best show the nature of the crime. Tawag po niyan, medium view. You divide it into sections. Close-up view naman, pag kinuhaan mo po ng photograph yung ebidensya po sa crime scene. Ang tawag po dyan, closed up. Bakit po kailangan ang close-up? Para mapakita po yung detalye ng krimen. Okay? On this slide, you can see an example of a close-up view sa isang knife. Pag extremely close-up view po tayo, ginagamit po yan in laboratory photography, right? So, if you could still remember, mga kadete, we mentioned in the first episode about photomacrography. Ano ba purpose ng photomacrography? Di ba yung photomacrography is taking of a magnified or enlarged photograph on small objects without the use of microscope. Hindi ka gumagamit ng microscope. For example, you want to find out the firing pin marks using photography. Firing pin marks or probably the caliber of the cartridge case. So, you used extremely close-up view. Saan po siya ginagamit? Sa laboratory. Pero pag sa crime scene lang, mga kadete, doon ka lang sa general view, medium view, and close-up view. Okay? Next. Let us go now to court exhibits. Okay? Let us say, tapos ka na po, may picture ka na or may photograph ka na. And then you are going to use it as part of the presentation inside the court. Now, these are the things that you have to remember. The party who wishes to introduce a court exhibit must first lay a foundation for its introduction. Ibig sabihin, you tell the court ano ba ang purpose, ano ba ang significance, why you have to introduce the exhibit. For instance, he or she must explain what the exhibit is, how it was created, and why it is relevant to the case at hand. Pangalawa, permission must then be granted from the court to officially introduce the exhibit into evidence in the court record. For short, pag walang pahintulot po yan ng korte, nako, patay ka. You cannot present the exhibit. It has to be presented with due permission coming from the judge. Now, sa bawat exhibit po na ini-introduce po natin, as much as possible, you have to reproduce it. Okay? And the reproduced copy thereof should be given to the opposing party or to the Pag police ka, bigay mo yan sa defendant or sa counsel, sa lawyer ng defendant. It has to be tendered before the trial during the discovery period. Okay? So bigyan mo ng copy yung opposing party mo po. Next, tangible evidence such as clothing, a firearm, or a footprint cannot be copied. Of course, posible naman that you have to reproduce again the same firearm. Yung individual characteristic niya would be mag-iba po. However, in a test done on the evidence must be shared with the opposing counsel prior to the trial. So if it is a firearm, it is very impossible that you will reproduce a replica or same firearm and then give it to the opposing party. Reproduction of the same firearm is impossible to do. Posible, baka pag-reproduce ka the same class characteristics, pero as to individual characteristics of the firearm, you cannot reproduce it on the second time. Pwede, maka-reproduce ka ng .45 caliber, the same, .45, right hand twist siya, with this kind of magazine, with this kind of frame, pwede, you can reproduce it. Pero again, class characteristics po yan. Yung individual characteristics such as firing pin marks, breech face markings, chamber marks, extractor marks, hindi po siya ma-reproduce. It cannot be copied again by merely producing another type of firearm. So, yung mga firearm po, since it cannot be reproduced, you can only supply a copy of the result of the examination thereof to the opposing party. So if you are conducting a forensic ballistic examination on the firearm, so ang resulta po niyan, ibigay mo po, isang kopya po ibigay sa opposing party. Prior to trial so before trial po yan. Now, importante po dito, mga kadete, yung paglagay po ng marker. Ganito po yan Ang marker po should not be the same with one party to the other. Pag ang sayo po or yung other party is numbers, dapat po ang sayo is letters. Kuha mo po. All evidence must be marked before asking the court to admit the court exhibit. Often, one side is assigned with numbers while the other side is assigned with letters. This is what I mentioned a while ago. So, example po nito, pag plaintiff ka, you say plaintiff exhibit 1, plaintiff exhibit 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. Pag defendant, hindi po siya numbers, but rather alphabets po. Defendants exhibit A, B, C, D, so on and so forth. Okay? So, yun po. Next, most importantly is the admissibility criteria. Kailan po magiging admissible sa korte ang isang photograph? Okay? Kailan po siya magiging admissible? Hindi ibig sabihin na tapos ka na ng laboratory examination, automatic that can be accepted in the court. May mga criteria kasi tayong sinusunod for that photograph to be admitted. Okay? Una po na criterion dito, itong tinatawag nating relevance. Ano ba ibig sabihin ng relevance? Related ba yan? Significant ba yan sa kaso at hand? Okay. So, pag connected siya, di pasok ka sa relevance. Pero, yung criterion number 1, hindi po siya nag-iisa. May criterion number 2 po. Yung criterion number 2 is yung authenticity. Dito papasok ngayon ang challenge pag digital camera yung ginagamit mo. Kasi pag digital camera ka, dapat automatic ka. You have to stand in the court to prove the authenticity thereof. There must be sufficient proof that a photograph is what it purports to be. This can usually be established through the testimony of the person who took the photo or someone who witnessed the scene. So, for short, ang authenticity po yan, ma-prove. Number 1, may witness ka. Number 2, you have to do the standing inside the court and you will be questioned to prove to the court na authentic or genuine yung photograph mo. Criterion number 3, hindi pa po tayo tapos. May tatlo pa pong criterion. Fair and accurate representation. Ibig sabihin, dapat yung photograph mo, wala po siyang distortion. Wala po siyang spherical aberration. Wala po siyang comma. Meaning, it has to be free from any defects. Okay? It should accurately represent the scene or object it depicts without misleading distortion. Tawag po niyan, fair and accurate representation. Number 4, pinaka-importante sa lahat, yung chain of custody. Sa board examination, pag magtatanong, how will you establish the integrity of the evidence? You can establish the integrity. Pag integrity na po ang pinag-usapan sa board examination. Pag integrity of the evidence yan, automatic ang sagot is chain of custody. How will you establish the integrity? How will you maintain the integrity of the evidence? You can maintain the integrity of the evidence by establishing the chain of custody. Okay? Pag questionable yung chain of custody, ibig sabihin, questionable yung ebidensya mo. Pag broken yung chain of custody, automatic, the evidence can never be considered as admissible in court. Okay? So the photograph must be accounted for from the time it was taken to its presentation in court, ensuring that it hasn't been tampered with. It has to be accounted, ha? So ano ang gagawin? So dapat may photographic log ka. Okay? Ang photographic log, may template po tayo sa Police Operational Procedure na handbook. Gumamit ka ng photographic log, okay? Para ma-account mo po yung mga number of shots, number of pictures that you took inside the crime scene, okay? So yun na po lahat mga kadete, ang lahat po ng mga topics under forensic photography. I hope I was able to help you po in your journey towards the taking of the criminologist licensure examination. Sana din po sa lahat ng mga estudyante pa lang, I am just hoping that I was able to add or to enhance your knowledge po sa area ng forensic photography. Maraming salamat po sa pagsubaybay po sa Bicueno channel po natin, and hope po you can share po yung mga videos po natin para mas marami po ang matulungan. God bless everyone, and see you po on the next discussion po natin sa other subject. God bless po.